Welcome back. Welcome back. It's your host, JTP Iza, and I got a special guest for you guys today. I have the one and only, untameable John Barnard.
Mm. What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on, brother? How you doing today, man? First and foremost,
Not too shabby, not too shabby. Just got done working out, so yeah. Well, actually, I got done working out and taking my kids on a ride, so got a little extra workout with my girls.
hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. And before we finish, can you hear me clear? Am I clear?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Nice.
And again, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to have you on our show. We're up and coming podcast, but we love the sport, and it's
Yes, sir.
it's a it's an honor to have you on. Can you please give the guests a brief introduction of yourself?
Well, my name is John Barnard. I've been in the combat scenes for a very long time. I started when I was 15 years old. Became one of Hawaii's top striking competitors in Hawaii, and then I moved away for financial reasons, priced out of paradise in Hawaii. And I started my journey in bare knuckle about 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, actually, yeah. And just trying to make a path and trying to do something with my legacy that I will leave behind. So
Perfect, perfect. And you almost got into some of my questions just with that beautiful introduction. But nonetheless, right, I'm gonna jump straight into it because I know you're a busy man,
Mhm,
right? So, John, with your title fight coming up on February 22nd,
mhm.
how has your training camp been different for this fight compared to previous camps?
This is a common question that a lot of people have been asking me, and they really are interested in this because this is a different sport. So, as we adapt and try to figure out the holes and all that kind of good stuff, what I found as a native Hawaiian who's been fighting on the streets for a very long time back in the day, and in fact, fighting in the streets is a very common thing. It was actually kind of praised back in my day. So what I learned and what I remembered is that no one changed their training schedule. Everyone, excuse me, no one like addressed, like no one formulated some sort of bare knuckle like training regimen or something like that. So what I did is I just continued doing kickboxing training and boxing training, and so far so good. I think one of the things that I did do is adjust my mentality to just stay a little bit more humble because this bare knuckle stuff is very unpredictable. It's like a flip of a coin. I once said, anything can happen. Someone can have a puncher's chance, or not. So it's, I think, just being prepared for the worst case scenarios and turning on the best I can. So yeah, I haven't changed anything, to be honest.
Okay, a
Mhm,
beautiful
mhm,
answer. And bare knuckle boxing demands a unique skill set.
mhm.
What specific area of your game have you focused on improving for this specific fight?
So for this fight, my last, I'll just talk lightly about my last fight. So my last fight, I really
Are we gonna talk
was
about that too? Just to let you know,
okay. Well,
if you don't mind.
the last fight, this is a good one because it kind of ties into that. But the last fight, I really thought I was going to box my opponent. However, that did not happen. That did not happen. So now I'm kind of, I'm still prepared to box with this person, although he has much more experience in the boxing realm, Harry. I feel like I still can try to box this guy and um show some sort of boxing capabilities, even though I've only been boxing for the past 2 years or so, so um yeah, I think I've focused a lot on my timing, a lot on my precision, knuckle placement, punching uh, choices as well. And those are probably the main thing that I've always been focused on most of my career. But again, like my last fight, like I said, it really taught me a lot. I think I learned the most in my last fight, even though I won. That was probably one of my most what's it called, educational experiences that I had in this bare knuckle space, and it's not to underestimate your opponent because I did go in there very emotionally driven and underestimated this guy, thinking that I was gonna do what I did with the last 3 or 4 opponents. So now I'm just really focusing on staying calm, and I could do that through sparring sessions and stuff like that, and not overwhelming myself, and really staying calm and patient and picking my shots and things like that. So, my cardio will always be there, my grit will always be there. However, just really making sure that I'm intentional about every shot has been the primary focus of this camp, and working with other, high-end athletes such as Taylor Sterling, who is a little beast, Keith, Tony, all of these other bare knuckle bangers. And it's just staying gritty while being methodical at my punch selection, while being aggressive, calculated aggression, basically. So yeah,
Right.
just dialing things in. That's all.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect. And how do you balance strength conditioning and technical training when preparing for a bare knuckle title fight? Is it
Gotcha.
different from a regular fight or
Mm. I'm treating this as if it's a non-title fight. It's cool to be able to fight for a title. Um, I've only had 4 fights in the bare knuckle space. To me, I know this is a newly developing sport, and I feel like I moved up to the rankings very quickly. So one part of me feels like I might not deserve it yet, and so come February 22nd, I get to prove myself wrong, like I've always been. Overcome the doubters, overcome the underdog syndrome that I've been accustomed to. Um, and I think um, preparation for this fight is just like any other fight for me. I'm always treating everyone as if they're a threat. I'm always thinking that they're going to be a dirty fighter. I'm always thinking all these things now. So each fight, I approach it very similarly. And I think one of the biggest things that I try to ensure is that I'm bringing the most resilience in the ring, and that's my biggest thing is like I'm bringing the most resilience to bring the best adaptability features, with clean, exceptional punch contact, with little, different tools to really confuse and take over the game. So I'm trying to pioneer this sport, figure out all these new little technical, things that can be used in this bare knuckle space because it is still a new sport. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
great, great. And just while we was touching on your previous fight, which I
Mhm,
was tuned into, locked in,
mhm,
cheering all the way for my good brother, right?
yeah,
What can we? I would like to bring something up.
sure.
1 second, because you definitely showed heart,
Mhm,
like that grit you was talking about. You definitely
mhm,
showed that, and I think
mhm,
I want to ask you before I even tell you what I think.
mhm.
But I feel like that's what really won that fight. You know what I'm saying? Because your willpower in there was just
Yeah,
unmatched, and
yep,
I almost felt like that guy gave up in that corner when he
absolutely.
took that
Well,
knee. And
well,
what do you think about that?
no, I definitely. I actually called that. If you listen to my interviews previously and you hear the conversations that I had with the promotion on BYB, you would hear most of my claims was that either I'm gonna stop him in the first round or I'm gonna drown him. You know what I mean? And you just looking at the previous like my resume, right? My resume shows that I've been stopping most of my opponents.
Right,
However, a lot of these fighters can't stand the type of technical aggression that I have. It's not just a barrage of uncalculated punches. I'm landing 90% of my shots. And in fact, I think that's something that they should try to do is really calculate all my punch selections and what punches are landing and stuff like that. So, my fight against McQueen, I knew that the only way to beat this guy was to drown him, because he is a very technical fighter. I feel like he is one of the better boxers in this bare knuckle space. So I knew that this was going to be a test that would really um, challenge me, and so I was really happy for this fight because I was able to show what I have deep down in that soul. You know what I mean?
sir, yes, sir. You definitely did that.
I
It's a
dig that
it's a
shit deep, bro.
yep, yep. And it's
uh,
like I said to me, and even when
mhm,
he scored his knockdown,
mhm.
to me it seemed like it was more like a flash knockdown. Was you hurt at any time of the fight?
Nah, not necessarily. It was definitely a flash knockout. It was like, I really was cold. And then the second drop, I hurt my knee as well. So I've hurt my knee previously, And one thing that I did realize, and like I said, I took him for granted for one, and then the other thing is this: that weight cut was a stretch, So, however, I'm not taking no excuses away from him because he's a freaking animal, Like, and we've had conversations after this fight, and like, hopefully one day we will fight again. But yeah, this guy, I feel like he will be the hardest opponent that I ever fight so far. I don't see anyone else that's gonna put up a challenge as tough as this guy. He's skilled. He's a street fighting boxer. His punch placement is pretty good. He's an aggressive, rocket. You know what I mean? And I wasn't ready for that. And he taught me a lot of things. And you gotta be ready and prepared. So that's what he did.
Right, and I just want to play this beautiful stoppage right
Mhm,
here. And I, like I
mhm,
said, I believe it looked like he just gave up.
mhm. Yeah. Mhm,
Damn,
mhm.
damn.
Yeah. Thing. I don't think anyone's gonna outwork me in this game. The only guy that probably could outwork me is LT Smasher.
I'm sorry, I didn't even get that.
uh, boom, boom,
Oh, yeah,
boom.
and right there,
Yeah,
that's it. He
that's it,
takes a
man.
knee, and it was a wrap. And
Yeah.
I personally think, outside of outclassing him,
Mhm.
I do believe he gave up. He didn't. Do you think it was the win, or do you think you hurt him with
I
them
think
barrage of punches?
I think it's a mixture of things. Like he's noticed that. I feel like he noticed that he couldn't do anything already. Like he couldn't hurt me. He couldn't outwork me. He couldn't do anything at that point. He's definitely a better boxer than I am. However, I think I just broke his will more than anything. And like I said, we had conversations. He did claim that he had some he was going through some stuff with his family. He lost one of his brothers or something like that, so he wasn't really in the gym as often. Um, but he's came to our gym before, and that's pretty much similar thing that happened when we sparred at my gym. It's like after 2 rounds, he just gave up. My
And I heard
forward
you say
aggression, I
that.
like to keep people on their back foot. You know what I mean, and that's very hard to manage fighting on your back foot. And the amount of punches that I'm landing. So I wasn't just a target for him. I wasn't a punching bag for him. And, if I was somebody else that he could just, tee off and throw those shots, like I'm this guy that will take a shot and give a shot. Like you'll never see me just taking shots and waiting, for me to attack. If you hit me, I'm hit you back. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that type of pace is really hard for a lot of fighters to maintain. And I knew it. I already knew it. I called it. It happened previously when we sparred. It's just there is levels to this game in regards to grit. Not everyone has that same level. He's a very talented fighter. However, grit is something you can't teach, man. Sometimes you just gotta let them balls drop and just, you know, put it on the line. And that's the kind of guy that I've been since day one.
Right. Hey,
Mhm,
mighty. That's a mighty answer, good brother.
mhm.
And your mentality. How do you prepare for the pressure of the title fight? Like, what? Like, what are you doing to? I know you said you're not thinking of it as a title fight. So, what are
Mhm.
you doing to take the title out of it? Like, how do you do that?
I've got 5 titles already in other disciplines, 2 in MMA, well, actually 3 in kickboxing. And so I started this journey of mixed martial arts by on a whim. Someone pulled me on the side to fight because he seen some potential in me. I started just to lose weight, and it actually led to one another thing, and then I fell in love with this sport. I think one thing that a lot of fighters do today's age is they're trying to chase some sort of fame, some sort of glory kind of thing, and that's not what I'm doing here. I love this sport. I love combat sports in general. So every time I step in that ring, it's purely fun and to entertain people. It's not about winning. It's not about losing. It's about them remembering this moment, this monumental moment. Every moment that I enter the ring is a monumental moment. I'm always striving to entertain and have a crap ton of fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
So most of the time, I'm always having fun, encouraging my opponents if they're trying to give up. Like I remember a few fights where I'm like trying to talk my opponent to keep fighting, and you know what I mean. I remember refs telling me, "Shut up, stop talking to him," when you wanted to give up. I'm like, bro, this is what puts on. Well, this is what gets good fights, going. Is when two fighters are dropping their balls and they just throwing. Fight. The fans come for a fight. They don't come for guys giving up. They don't come for. They want to see a fight. And I've been in tons of wars. You know what I mean?
Right.
And and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to. I don't want to go into a war, but I'm war ready. You know what I mean? I want to outclass my opponent. I want to do all those things. Because that is entertaining as well. However, if we're at a point in the fight where it's even playing field and we're both like let's keep that going, the Max Holloway point down, you know what I mean. That's my style of fighting. We get in the center of the ring and let's give these fans what they came here for, and if you can't keep up, I'm gonna take you out. If you
Right.
can, then let's keep this shit going, you know what I mean. That's the kind of fighter I am. And so again, it's just pure enjoyment for me, nothing more. I'm not trying to gain accolades. It doesn't matter to me, But this is cool to gain a title shot because I will be the first native Hawaiian of Hawaii to fight for a recognized world title in bare knuckle. So this is kind of cool, for the islands of Hawaii because we have a crap ton of talented fighters in Hawaii, tons of them. And so if I can shine light, like, hey, this local boy can do it, so can them. Hopefully that will change the trajectory of where the islands are in regards to the violence. And there's a lot of gun violence in Hawaii now. And so these things motivate me. These things push me forward because again, I'm not doing it for the title, although this helps my people back home. This encourages them. This brings, you know, um, the fire and flame back in Hawaii so that hopefully one of those new upcoming generation will come up and be like, I want to do what he did
Right.
and, keep them off the street from doing wrong and all that kind of stuff. So, and then also, it also passes that torch on to my kids. Like, hey, dad uh set out to do something and he did his best. He went all the way to the top, and so I want my kids to have that same drive, that same work ethic to if you start something, you get to the top. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
not about the accolades, it's about doing your best, and that's what God wants us to do. And so I want my girls and I want everyone that looks up to me to do the same thing. When you try something, you do something, you put in everything you got. No holds
Right.
barred, So yeah.
Right.
That's how it's easy to separate, man. Easy to separate.
That's mighty, and
Mhm,
it's a beautiful thing that you can be a role model, not
mhm.
just to your immediate family, but to a whole island or country
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
big salute to you, man,
Mhm.
and I hope that it does motivate more people like yourself to come up and do what you're doing and take the
Yeah,
positive route, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and one more question,
sure.
since you brought it up, do you see your kids as in any branch of the fighting? Would you see
I would
that?
I would
Do
love
you
to. I
encourage
would
that?
love. I don't want to say I would. I would encourage it if they showed interest. One of my daughters, my middle daughter, Aliana, she tries to like work out with me when I'm working out at home. So I work out Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays at my own home, my own garage. I coach myself. And some days she'll jump in there and want to work out with dad. But I know and I feel it in my soul that she's doing it just to make dad happy. She's one of those kids that they try to make dad happy. And
Right,
I don't want her to do it because for me, I want to do it because she likes it. So if it ever in their life that like, you know what, dad, I want to fight or I want to compete or I want to do some sort of combat sports, hell yeah. and I'll be super happy. I'll be their number one cheerleader. I'll be their main coach, and
Right.
I'll
Right.
branch them out. I'll make all the connections that they need. If they ever want to, man, they got a nice future if they do. So yeah, not none of my kids are interested in it, but
Okay.
they got some hands. They got decent hands.
For
I teach
sure.
them a little bit.
Yeah, look who their dad is, man, you know? I feel the same way about mine, you know?
Mhm.
Um, but, okay, so let's get to the next question, right? What's your approach coming into this fight? Like, your strategy? Is it gonna be more patient, or do you look to immediately finish your opponent?
So, without going into details on strategy in regards to this opponent, this guy is definitely much more skilled than majority of the boxers that I fought. Um, I think most of my preparation was just identifying all of his weaknesses and then strengthening those areas in which I can exploit them. So, he's longer, he's a little taller than me, so a lot of inside pocket fighting is definitely going to be in my favor. And then, it seems like he can go the distance. But that is a distance in which he's on his front foot, right? Where he's driving and dictating the fight. Now, I'm not sure if he can do that while he's on his back foot. You know what I mean? Because I will press him. Some I'll put a pressure on him that he's never had before. And I get this from every boxer that I've ever sparred with, that I ever worked with, that the pressure that I bring is unlike anything that they've ever faced. So, we'll see if he can maintain that, and hopefully this encourages him to get that cardio to the next level, because I will bring a side of him I bring out a side of him that he never thought he had, or um yeah, and that could be a side of true grit, or I'll bring the girl out of him. You know what I mean? So one of the two is going to happen. So we'll find out February 22nd.
And I'm gonna be tuned in, and I cannot wait. I'm gonna be cheering for you again, so know that.
Mhm.
And just to comment, I've seen you sparring in the ring
Nice.
and Top Tiger
Yeah.
Boxing Gym in North Carolina.
Mhm.
So I've seen you in action, and I've
Nice.
seen your work ethic, and you
Mhm.
definitely you're a dog in there, good brother, right?
Mhm.
So to my next one, you actually answered it. So I'm not even gonna have to ask this question. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask it anyway, just so you can
Okay.
answer it again,
Yeah.
right?
Let's go.
So what do you think? What do you think are your opponent's biggest strengths, and how do you prepare to neutralize them?
So his biggest strengths against me would be his I don't know. I think it would be hmm, I guess his background, his experience. He's very confident in himself, which is very good. And maybe that confidence might convert into some sort of um second win that he might somehow conjure up, after a few rounds of extreme pressure. But and then I think his experience in boxing is very it's noted, should I say. He doesn't have, from my opinion, he's not like a boxer that I'm like, whoa, um, but he's not a bad boxer. And he's a decent boxer, and I feel like that's probably his strength that he really does bring to the table, is a background, a boxing pedigree. Again, like I said, I've been a kickboxer my whole life, MMA fighter my whole life, jujitsu and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of these boxers that I'm fighting is going against someone that's only been boxing for the past 2 years, 3 years max. You know what I mean? So um, that's the only strength that he has over me. Maybe his ring awareness that he's gained over his experience in boxing, his punching placement. He probably got a decent one, and then that's about it. And I think his weaknesses, I feel like and most boxers that I feel, they throw combinations just to throw it, right? It's like just hitting the mat, the pads, you know what I mean? Whereas I like to dial in all of my shots. Every shot is intentional. Every shot is to hurt you, or well, every shot is to be um fight winning worthy. So that's the difference between him and I think he does not place his shots to win. I think he just throws shots just to throw shots because that's what boxers do, you know. And I think that's where it's gonna separate the two of us. You know, every shot that I throw is gonna be intentional. The placement's going to be intentional. The timing is going to be intentional. The precision is going to be intentional. The knuckle contact is going to be intentional. All of those things are going to be intentional. And I think that's where my strengths are going to shine come February 22nd.
Beautiful, beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. Now, bare knuckle boxing is such a different type of animal than traditional boxing or MMA. What do you love about this sport, and what makes it stand out for you?
So, I probably, if I would have gotten into just plain old boxing, I don't think I would have probably been doing bare knuckle. You know, and the only reason why I got into bare knuckle boxing is because I couldn't get regular boxing matches, because of my background, my pedigree in kickboxing and MMA. I got over 50 kickboxing fights, over 10 MMA fights. That's including pro and amateur on both, and so when I tried to secure some boxing match, it was very hard, because I was not going to pay for an opponent. That was one of my things. I was not going to pay somebody to box me. I felt like that was kind of odd when I learned about this here in the states. So, I just failed at trying to find boxing matches, and I seen one of my friends posting a post on Facebook, seeing if anybody wanted to fight some bare knuckle. And I was like, shoot, let me try that shit, So I hit him up, and he said, "Hey, you can give me a fight," So I then ended up getting a match, my first bare knuckle match in Greenville, South Carolina, and yeah, it was man, it reminded me of home. That's all it is. It just reminded me of all those streets fights that I've watched, witnessed, partaken in, and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, you know what? It's not that bad. It reminds me of home. This is something that we've been bred to do. And, just took it off there and just went all in. I'm the kind of guy, like I said, I go in hard. I put everything in it, like, same as if with me being a father, like when I became a father, I went all in, you know what I mean? And, I try to not leave, no leaves unturned, so that's basically, hopefully answers your question.
It definitely did. It
Mhm.
definitely did. And what do you think needs to change or involve in bare knuckle boxing for the sport to grow and gain more mainstream recognition?
Um, hmm. I think there should be a unified rule set that every bare knuckle promotion should follow and adhere to. And I definitely feel that they should, well, I'm in a promotion, BYB, that really understands the game of bare knuckle. And they're allowing us to cultivate a lot of skills in regards to the bare knuckle banner that that allows us to transform, right, and elevate and whatnot. And that is because they offer a little bit more time for us to work. However, the ring surface of BYB is such a different, and just brawl provoking environment that it's also hard to implement real structured boxing, so it's so close, there's really not much space to work, do the rope a dope and just use footwork and all those types of things. So um maybe, shoot, I don't know. BYB is doing a great job for me because their ring surface really accommodates my fighting style because I am an inside pocket fighter. I'm a, calculated aggressive fighter. So it works out really well for me. Whereas the other promotions, um, have something different. They have a different product where it's just 2 minutes or something like that. And that is a little bit more short. I don't think there's enough time for one to really structure a art piece. You know what I mean? A masterpiece is hard to find in these 2 minute rounds. 3 minutes where you can actually, you can paint that nice art piece. So I think BYB is creating a great product in that piece, in its entirety, the time and so I don't know. And I think they're about to hit the ceiling in regards to the organizational structure of bare knuckle already. So now it's just building superstars like they used to do in Floyd Mayweather's days, you know. And that's the only thing. They need to build the fighters up. They need to show the world and show the world and tell the world these people's stories, you know what I mean? Because that's what made fighters back in the day well known, you know, getting to know them, you know, the 24/7s and, you know, the countdowns and all those types of things. I think that's what connects people to fighters, you know, because lo and behold, their life is just like yours, you know what I mean?
Right.
So those things I think these promotions need to do a better job at is just really digging in, getting to know the fighters, and then showing the world that this is the fighter that you're supporting. This is the fighters that you're not supporting, and this is why. You know, so I think that's probably the only missing piece that they need to do. UFC, right? They did their countdown as well. They do the UFC house, right? All those things helped fans to get to know the fighters, and that's probably the biggest thing. A lot of these promotions are so fixated on trying to make the fans learn about the promotion rather than the fighters, you know, and I think UFC figured it out is that we got to build stars. Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, you know, Cain Velasquez, these are stars that they built up. Randy Couture, they built these individual names, and those individuals made the sport who it is. And so I think that's what these promotions need to do to innovate and make it really hit the mainstream. And you know, they're doing it. It's moving slowly but surely. It's moving.
It definitely is. And hey, and you're gonna feel. I know you're gonna feel real good to know that you're a forerunner for that.
Yeah,
With
absolutely.
helping push it up to the highest it can get.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so you've had an impressive career
Mhm.
so far. What drives you to keep pushing yourself to take such a tough challenge?
Dang, that's a good question. Shoot, hmm, I just love overcoming um doubts. I think I know I for the past few fights, you know, I've been the underdog. You know, I'm still trying to overcome that underdog, you know, concept that's, you know, being thrown around there. So I believe I'm going to be the underdog again, you know, and I think that kind of really fuels the fire and the flame, puts, you know, it just lights a torch under my butt to really keep pushing forward and overcoming. I don't know, man. That's a really interesting question. I really got to sit on that question to really formulate a good answer on that one.
Okay, okay. And look, this we going Lord willing, we have more time in another interview after you
Ah,
win and bring that belt,
yes,
right?
sir.
Because I'm gonna be tuned in and I'm cheering for you, right? So, what would winning the title mean for you, both professionally and personally?
So winning the title would be cool because I would be making history for the island of Hawaii. So, like I said, I think that's a huge thing. You know, this will um, solidify um, the talent that is in Hawaii. You know, I'm one of n- hundreds, you know, of me. You know, and I've been saying this since the first fight that I've ever had. I told my first interviewer that I am one of many of me. You think I'm good? Wait till you see what's in back home. You know, I got a sleuth of animals in Hawaii, and so I hope that me winning this title will put a lot of emphasis and shine and light on my local brothers in Hawaii because there is tons of talent, natural, straight from the womb kind of talent, bro. It's crazy. And so that's my vision, you know, is to really shine light and expose Hawaii for what talent they have and
Right,
expose North Carolina as well. You know, and I feel like this is the time for the Carolinas to really step up and really put out because I don't think our state's been known for boxing too much. You know, I know that there's a real minimal handful of fighters, you know. So I think this is also going to shine light to the Carolinas on, you know, what we got. We got a ton of actual top athletes in here in the bare knuckle space. Ton of them. You know, I can go through a list of them. We got a champion that we have a former champion that's out in the Carolinas, and so it'll be nice to bring another title to the Carolinas, you know, and hold it, and then you know hopefully secure another one once this fight is over, you know. So I'm also fighting at a higher weight, so this offers me another opportunity to get another title potentially. So it's a win-win in all aspects, and I cannot wait. It's exciting.
Okay. And if you look back on your journey,
Mhm.
what has been the most rewarding moment of your career, whether it be amateur and pros?
Hmm. Most rewarding uh, experience in my career was probably when I met my fight manager, or Hanai dad, that we would say in Hawaii. Meeting my pops, I call him Pops, Walt Carvalho. I built myself up with my team of God's Army back in the day to be our team. We built our team to be one of the most prominent strikers in Hawaii. And throughout that time, we're in just kids. My coach was like 2 or 3 years older than us. We're kids. I was 16 years old, 17 years old, around there. And we started to just really skate our way through the rankings in Hawaii. And, we started to pick up some notoriety. And one of the people that really seen favor in me was this guy named Wally Carvalho. And what he seen in me, he took a chance on me. He took me out. He took me to different states to train with all these top athletes, such as Cain Velasquez, Josh Koscheck, Josh Thompson, who else? Misha Tate, Gina Carano, Chris Cyborg, Brett Rogers, Paul, but like a number of animal fighters, and he's seen something in me. I think that was probably the most monumental time in my career, which really helped me to see what's out there, allowed me to expand my horizon in regards to what I'm capable of. It helped me to learn how to network. Like, it did so much things for me in a professional and personal level that I think nothing's gonna be able to come close to that. It was just exposing me to all of these things, exposing me to the lights, taking me all over the world and things of that nature. And I think that was probably one of the biggest things that I owe anybody in my fight career, is Wally, for helping me in that capacity. You know what I mean? And then my original coach, Colin McKenzie, he really put together something unique that a lot of, I think, men need, and that is a brotherhood. And he created a brotherhood of men that we did everything together, bro. And those two things together really the highlight of my whole career. It's not even the wins, it's not even the fights, none of that. It was just the experiences that came along the way. We had so much fun as when we were children. We would catch the bus, and we would play musical chairs in the bus. Every time the bus would stop, we have to switch chairs, and then bro, and then we'll play um, hide and go seek in Kmart. I'm not sure if you guys had that here, or Walmart. Like, we will do so much fun stuff together, and I think this is what a lot of men is missing. They need that camaraderie with other like-minded men that allows us to do fun things that is legal, and just keep us out of trouble. You know what I mean? Keep us busy doing something. And if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today, despite the fighting. Just put the fighting away. I think I have a great career right now. I have a good family. I'm financially in a good place. I'm a mentor to a lot of people. There's so much benefits that came out of fighting, and the people that I met along the way. So, and that would be the highlight. It's just the experiences and the people that I met throughout the way.
Okay. And look, you kind of tapped into one of our extra questions. I told you I got a whole bunch of questions if the time permits it. But I'll ask that question now since you kind of touched on it. If you wasn't a fighter, a pro fighter, where do you see yourself? Like, what would you be?
So, if I've never, shoot, that is a great question, because the way that you framed it really allows me to expand in all kinds of areas, right? Because one, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an attorney, a lawyer, defending a lawyer. I want to be defending people, right? But then as I started to, grow up, I started to not care in the well, I didn't have any dreams or envisions. I wanted to be a businessman at one point during my life. Um, yeah, I don't, I think I probably would have been a businessman. some sort of business. I really love helping businesses today. But I probably would have opened the business, and I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna do once my career is all done.
In what
I'll
field
probably
would you say?
some probably I'm not sure. I might be a consultant or something. I'm not sure. Something real estate. I definitely know real estate is one of the businesses that I'll have for sure for tons of reasons. Um, but I definitely would entertain, maybe even purchasing already established businesses that are not doing too well, and try to reform them and add all the skills that I've gained in the corporate sector, and utilize all the new skills and experiences and technologies to improve those failing businesses. So that is something that I would really want to do, to purchase those broken businesses and fix them, or just consult with businesses that need help. So those are some of the possible areas that I would really consider once I'm done fighting. Yeah,
Okay. And
I
that's
love
nice.
technology.
And I'll tell you one thing. It's you said you wanted to be a lawyer. That's not the first time I heard, fighters say that. I heard quite a few fighters say they wanted to be lawyers at one point in time in their life, which
Hmm.
I do think we need good lawyers in this world.
Yeah,
It's a lot of people falsely accused and falsely
yeah,
arrested for things, and we
mhm,
need good lawyers.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and another thing that you touched on was the youth having that brotherhood,
Hmm.
which I think is a mighty thing too, because that's actually biblical,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah,
me
iron
personally,
sharpens iron.
yep, iron sharpens irons, and a friend, his friend's a countenance, right? That's the
Hmm.
next verse. So I
Yeah,
like I love the Bible myself, and brotherhood is definitely a weapon. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And that's something that
absolutely.
a lot of our communities lack.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
to the next one. How long do you plan on continuing your career in bare knuckle boxing? And you answered the latter part of this question,
Hmm.
but and what's after?
Yeah,
What's after this fight?
gotcha. Or this career, or this fight.
Sorry,
Um,
this fight. This fight. Let's go with
okay.
this fight.
So, hmm. So how long am I gonna do? You know, I made a post recently, and I'm probably gonna stand on this. I'll try my best to be a man of my word, but if I'm not able to get a minimum of 3 fights per year, probably gonna hang it up. You know what I mean? I don't have all the time in the world, and I don't want to continue to just get my face beaten and then time away from my kids during these segments. You know what I mean? So if I can't stay busy this next 2 3 years, then I'm just gonna hang it up after this year. So, BRB, if you want me to stay involved, brother, keep me busy,
You hear
because
that?
your boy ain't getting younger. You know what I mean? And I gotta, I got some children to raise. I got some children to pour into, and help them build their dreams. Because they're here, they're encouraging and motivating me through their existence. But now I want to be that support system that I never had in the beginning of my career. Um, and so that's what I want to do. So the sooner that I can figure out what my next year will look like, then the sooner I can tell whether I'm going to stay here for another year or two. You know what I mean? I probably say 3 years would be the max, because like I said, I'm getting older, and I want to be in my kids' life, and I want to pour into them. I want them to get involved into whatever sport they want. I want to be that soccer dad. You know what I mean, for my girls. And then um what am I gonna do after this fight? So hopefully, I get that strap, and then I want to fight for the 135-pound title, which I was entitled to. So regardless, win, lose, or draw, I wanna like that's the weight class that I really wanted to take on. I know I've been fighting at higher weights throughout the beginning of my fight career. That was just because I just wanted to fight. So I fought a few at 155, fought a few at 140, and so yeah, I think I'm gonna get back to 135. I'm gonna stay there. I took this fight at 140 because again I wanted to fight. And the 135-pound champ, I believe, was injured, or he just wasn't in a good place to fight. So I was, you know what, it's all good. Let's make something else happen. because I'm tired of not being busy. The last fight was more than 6 months ago. I'm not going to be shelved. That's the whole reason why I came to this promotion. And, hopefully they hear me out and they continue to use me.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of answered my questions. So you do have it is somebody that you're looking for after this fight if he's available, right?
Right. So that is I'm not like a person to call out people. Whoever's the champion, whatever's I honestly I really didn't even care, honestly, to this point now. So since they're already giving me a title shot, I can fight for the title or I can fight not. I can fight just anybody. As long as it's a good money, excuse me, a good fight that makes sense, that the fans want to see, sign me up. You know what I mean? I know Mr. Grant, I think his name is, was calling me out, telling me he wants to fight me, which I'm more than welcome to. I think that would be a great fight as well at 135. Let's do it. And then Mr. McQueen, he's like I say, he's a beast too. I definitely got to get my lick back on that beginning round. So, I wouldn't mind running that back. You know what I mean? So that I can kind of really redeem myself for the beginning of that fight. Um, but at this moment, I'm really just focusing on Mr. Gigliotti, because he's not a opponent to just dismiss. You know what I mean? And
Right.
think that he's not worthy of my time or anything like that. 'Cause he is. He's the champion. You know what I mean? For good reason. So
Most
yeah,
definitely. And I've
yeah,
seen him. I watched some film on him too.
mhm,
I think you're gonna cook him. That's just my opinion personally. I could be being biased right now, but that's just me.
uh,
So and again, I'm assuming you win this title fight.
mhm.
How do you plan on celebrating that victory?
Shoot, my celebrations as a old ass dad now is just hanging out with my girls, man. I'm a homebody, man. I'm gonna go home. Hopefully, I ain't got no cuts and bruises. Heal up, and hopefully, if I have no issues or no, if whatever way, it doesn't matter how this fight goes. I don't ever anticipate a win or a loss. I just, I really just want to have fun. So I just hope I come out of here unscathed, not too much damages, and then I'll be fighting again, hopefully in April. So that's my goal. I want to stay safe. I want to win the title if possible, but ultimately, I just want to stay safe because I want to fight in April, and the April card is going to be in Myrtle Beach. So I want to get on that card. That's so
Yeah,
bummer, man. I wish I knew that sooner. I would have sat out a little bit.
yeah. And
But
if
hey,
you
it
get
is
on
what
the
it is.
Myrtle Beach card, I might just have to pull up. And that's close
People
enough
gonna
for
be
me to
pulling
pull
up,
up.
bro.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. So
that's gonna
yeah,
be
that's the
mighty.
plan. That's the plan.
So, and that kind of leads into my next question.
Mhm.
If you have, do you still have a little time? I got a few more
Yeah, yeah, I'm
questions.
fine. Yeah, go ahead.
So that kind of leads into my next question. How important is the support from your fans and team leading up to a fight like this?
Man, you know, it's kind of nice to have support. Um, Especially knowing that the support that I had previously what came from my brotherhood, my team, and I think that was the biggest support system that I had. And at that time, that's all I needed. It's just all my boys behind me, and in fact, a lot of my family members didn't really get on board with my combat uh, experience or my combat journey tor- till later in my career, besides my brother. But as long as I got my brother there and a few fans around, I'm gonna continue to turn up for them. Whoever shows up to support me, But I've been really dialing in a lot of support in Hawaii, especially in Hawaii and Charlotte. A lot of support's been falling through from my gym and people out here now. So it's been nice. It doesn't change the way that I enter each fight, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to have that type of pressure on my back, you know what I mean? Of
Right,
holding it down for all of these people because we all humans, you know what I mean? Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, and
right.
we got to be mindful of that and always encourage our brothers to get back up, you know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing is I yeah, it's cool. I really like it, but really haven't had it much, so it's pretty surreal to get the support that I'm getting now. But yeah.
Okay. All right. And is there any particular message you want to send to your supporters who you do have? as you prepare for this title bout?
Yeah, at first I would just want to give a shout out to all my sponsors, Epic Homes, Chincheck Sportwear. I got Son of Hawaii, Feel Good Chiropractor, and this is District 9, Michael Plumbing, Civil Construction, Ohana Jump and Slide, Inflatable Rentals, C4 Masonry, got Tough Man Hawaii, and Tough Man Next Generation. Um, Ione car sales. Shoot, I got a bunch of them. He above all clothing, Top Tiger Team boxing, New Level clothing, Top Gun, um, Barber, Bet Shark, BK Bet Shark, Haymaker, uh, and Misguided Individuals. These are the sponsors that's been supporting me through this camp. Lace Up Promotions as well. Another great uh, sponsor that I've secured this fight, and it seems like the momentum has been rolling, and people are seeing what I bring to the table, and so I appreciate all those people, and even people that's supporting my shows, that's sharing my content. All of those people is the best as well. You guys help me grow, and I just kind of express how thankful I am. I'm also big shout out to Mike and Tyco hemp CBD company. BYB has been great to me as well. They've been taking care of me very, very well. Mel supporting me, helping me, and helping me to pave a way. A legacy that I can leave behind. So outside of that, man, thanks everybody for being there for me, supporting me through my ups and downs, and sticking around after 10 years of a layoff. That's a crazy thing too. So, and then most of all, I got to give a shout out to the man above, man, for keeping me safe, guiding my family, and just, filling in the gaps in all of the areas of my life, man. 'Cause that's what he's done all my life.
All praises, right? And
Yes, sir.
which leads me to another question. It's just random, right? So going into fights, is there any scriptures in particular that you meditate on?
Aha, nice. So one of the scriptures that really, what's it called? That is like, it's really ingrained in my heart is that peace be the peacemakers. They are called the children of God, and I think we lack a lot of peace in this world, and so I think that's the biggest thing that I hold on to is that none of my opponents. I know I kind of lost it a little bit in my last fight, but I have to be reminded that we are called to be peacemakers. God loves peacemakers, and so um, I think it's Matthew 5 verse 9, I believe, and yeah, just give out to more peace. We need more peace and love in this world, and so I think that that's the scripture that's on my heart that I've been rocking with, and I think everyone needs to know.
Perfect, perfect. And I do believe that is Matthew 5 and 9.
5-9, yep. Verses 5-9, yep.
And uh, before we wrap it up,
Mhm.
you know, I would like to ask: is there any, let's say, whether it's old people who you watch coming up or new fighters that like a dream fight that you have, whether it be
Ah,
somebody who inspired you coming up or who you see coming up now? Is there any fights that you just dream of having?
I think my my favorite fighter and boxer of all time, just fighter in general, is Juan Manuel Marquez. I One of the dream fights that I wish I would able to witness or is the prime of Juan Manuel Marquez versus the prime of Canelo Alvarez. I think that would have been a crazy dynamite fight.
And who would you have went for in that fight?
Oh, Juan Manuel Marquez all day. But I like Canelo too, so that's why it's such a. But I think the technical abilities, the inside pocket fighting, the punch placements, patience, the grit that Juan Manuel Marquez brings to the table is just unmatched, man. I know he doesn't have the perfect record, but I tell you that guy's the boxer's boxer. He's I don't know. I don't know why, but he's always to me always like he is the number one fighter to me. I know I get a lot of heat for that because there's a lot of fighters, and I like Floyd Mayweather too. Floyd Mayweather is a goat. However, I like Juan Manuel Marquez way way better. So, but Floyd is right next. You know what I mean? He'll be my number two boxer. And so, but yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
Okay, okay. And I guess before we wrap it up, I gotta ask this one too, since you brought Canelo up.
Uh-huh.
Who do you got, Canelo or Terrence
Canelo,
Crawford?
Canelo.
Canelo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all day. Canelo. Yeah. Unfortunately,
Right.
Terrence. I think Terrence is too. He's too slow. He's strong. He's very, very strong. But Canelo's been playing with some big boys already. So he's already adapted to this weight difference and the power. He knows what it feels like, already. Terrence Crawford, although he's a talented individual, he is a different talent. He's this generation talent. You know what I mean? He's not the back in the day generation talent, like Mayweather days, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather. He's not that kind of flow of talented. Um, Canelo, on the other hand, he has a mixture of both. He has that swag from Miguel Cotto days. He got those types of qualities. And then he has this grit in him as well, like a Triple G today. So Canelo, he embodies both generations of boxers. I think that's probably the best way to say it. And my personal opinion, the boxers today is trash compared to the boxers back then. And I'm not saying like uh the past 10 years. I'm talking about the 90s and 80s. Floyd Mayweather capped the technical aspect of things. Like Floyd Mayweather, he made the ceiling for boxing. And everyone that came after him, they what did they do different? What's different from them? There's really nothing any like there's no more progress that could have been made after Floyd. If you think of that generation, I'm not saying he made all of the adjustments and the evolution of boxing, but he capped boxing. Like after him, no one has brought out some sort of technical abilities that was like wow. Besides, maybe we could say, what's it called? What's that? Man, he's another one of my favorite. Lomachenko, like that. Other than him, there's really nothing more. So that's what I would say.
Okay, okay. Well, just a spoiler alert. I think Terrence Crawford
You
is
think he-
gonna. You know, I think
what do
he's
you think
gonna.
he gonna do?
I think
You think
he's
he'll
gonna
knock?
out. I think he's gonna. No, I don't believe he's gonna knock Canelo out. I'm
Uh,
I'm realistic. I'm a
yeah.
diehard boxing fan. I don't think he's
Yeah.
gonna knock Canelo out,
Mhm.
but I do think he has the ability to outbox him for 12 rounds. You know,
Probably, I think he got the range too. But like I said, it's a weird fight. Because Canelo does have a new generation of boxing. And I've seen this number of times in the kickboxing realm, whereas these, what I would call a Floyd Mayweather kickboxer, would fight some, what's his name? Deontay Wilder type of fighter. Like, I don't think Deontay Wilder is a good boxer.
I
He
don't think
just
so. He's a
cracks. That
he's,
fucker
he's
can
a one
crack.
hit.
That's
He's
it.
a one punch pony,
You know,
one trick pony.
but he was undefeated for a moment. He was messing guys up, and so sometimes shit like that happens. And Terrence Crawford, he's like a mixture of like a Terrence Crawford with a little bit of better skill, like a little bit better skill. He's very smart. He's a smart boxer. He has ring awareness. He has a lot of good things, but his punch selection, his combinations is nothing impressive. Nothing that he does is impressive. It's just very textbook. And so that doesn't sway me much. I like really unique boxing style. Like I like when boxers had different styles. Gamboa, Yorkis Gamboa, like
Yeah,
uh,
Gamboa
all
was
these guys
was
had
the
this
truth.
different types of tech. Like they are like just different types of artists, different strokes for different folks, kind of thing. And that was cool because you could gravitate to each boxer. Whereas Terrence Crawford doesn't really have something that's like that wow factor. He doesn't. He's strong because he has a wrestling background, so he punches really hard. He's patient. He's methodical. He works extremely hard. So these are really good things. But again, all these other boxers back in the day, we had that. We had boxers that had grit. We had boxers that had good work ethic. Floyd Mayweather, for one. We had guys that had great technical abilities that didn't have good cardio. We had all of these mixtures. Whereas Terrence Crawford, to me, he's like the total package. but he's like sevens down the line of everything. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like if you had like a ranking of skill, cardio, endurance, strength, all that type of stuff, he's like a seven right down the line. Whereas like a Floyd would be like a seven, excuse me, like a nine in technical abilities. Defense would be like a 12 or something. You know what I mean? His work ethic would be like a 12. You know what I mean? But Canelo is just straight down the line, just a straightforward. He's an A boxer. You know what I mean? Like a good boxer. That's just my opinion from what I see. You know, from what I've watched growing up. I love boxing. I never really got into it because boxing in Hawaii is dead. It wasn't never like a huge thing in Hawaii, but I'm telling you, we got so much talented boxers in Hawaii. It's ridiculous. The only thing is they don't have the work ethic because they smoking weed all the damn time, or they too busy trying to get girls. You know what I mean? So they're not concentrated like a Terrence Crawford. Imagine if our Hawaii fighters took on the same work ethic as Terrence Crawford, bro. Crazy. You would be surprised. And in fact, when you get a chance, go and Google USA boxing. Who has the most titles? Who has the most wins? Hawaii. The
Okay.
skill in Hawaii is crazy, but they just don't have the discipline. They don't have the right coaches. This shit, they're also fighting financial difficulty, so it's hard for them to stay consistent in the sport. So there's so much factors that stops the islands from really showing up on the map. Because one, in order for us to compete, we got to go to the states. We have to, fly over the ocean to get,
Right.
to the states and compete with the other individuals. But this past year, our islanders have been traveling, and so you'll start seeing much, much, much more local talent, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's crazy. So
Okay.
we're heavy boxing fans, bro. Heavy boxing fans in Hawaii, but we just don't have the means, the financial resources, the state support, should I say, to really um push out these fighters and help them get to the next level. That's the only thing. Whereas the state's a little bit easier because if your state doesn't provide you with the resources to go to the next level, guess what? You can go to another state, right? You can just drive to another state. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I know I'm not the boxing expert. I barely watch boxing now, but that would be my depiction of a Terrence. That Terrence can win, absolutely, 100%. But I just like Canelo because he has a different style. That's all.
Now that's understandable.
Yeah.
You know. Well, those are all the questions we have time for. But before we go, right? I want to let the people know where. Can you please let the people know where they can find you, and follow your journey?
Awesome. All right. So the easiest way to find me is go to untameable.net. So you type in that untamable right here in my name, and then you .net, and you'll go to my webpage, and you guys can find everything you need. And especially check out some of my sponsors. I think the biggest thing that I want anyone that's watching this show is go to my website, check out my sponsors, because there could be a service there that could very much change your life. You can get some clothing, some plumbing, whatever you need in regards to services. They're supporting me and I back them. I know these people, I know them personally. And I'm sure that if you went to my page and supported them, they'll continue to support me. And so, if you do have any need for any of these services that are supporting me, go and support them, man. Follow them, at least at minimum, follow my sponsors. You know what I mean? And that will help me to continue the journey and get the financial support that I need to continue down this path. So, and that goes to with every fighter. I think if you enjoy boxing, you enjoy all these things, man, follow your fighters and follow their sponsors, because that's what allows them to sponsor them. It's not a one-way track, and I really do know how valuable it is to have a support system. And this is my support system. You help my support system, they can continue to help me. So, but yeah, untameable.net, or you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, every single social media platform at untamable61.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
I appreciate that. And one more thing, can you please let the people know where they can find the most righteous hooks?
Righteous hooks. There you go. Jabs to paradise, baby.
Thank you. Appreciate that, good brother, man. And it was an honor to have you. And hopefully we could do this again, man, after you bring
Yes,
them
sir.
title homes back to North Carolina.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll lock in for sure.
Sir. And peace and blessings to you, brother.
You too,
and
man.
keep working hard, man. It's gonna pay off, man. You
Yes,
are
sir.
definitely a goat in this thing.
Trying, trying.
Yes, sir. Shalom. Peace to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. That was a mighty, mighty show. The good brother Untameable came and blessed the platform with his presence. And if you want to find more content like this, make sure you subscribe. JTP, Jab to Paradise, where you gonna find the most righteous hooks, right? Shalom, peace and blessings to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, JTP Iza. I am out.